All right, I figured I'd make a video since I've already knocked out 3 sets of these, and they've been going actually fairly quickly, fairly smoothly, but just for YouTube entertainment purposes, I'll put up another video. So these are side window covers for the R35 GTR, and this is the mold. Same exact thing as always, 3D printed mold, little putty filler. Actually, I don't think he even did that. I went straight to resin and then did primer. Just a little, I guess, tips and tricks based on my experience. So this has been the latest primer that I've been trying out. I've been trying several primers out. So this one's an epoxy primer sealer, and it's all right. Not awful, not great. Then I think I finished this other one. So I had this other primer, but so far, this one right here is my favorite. This stuff works very well. The high build is actually high build. Sands nice, but fills in a lot of voids. It was actually, the other primer I tried was from the same company that makes the clear coat, and I absolutely hated it. So based on personal experience, this is the one that I would recommend for anyone doing a workflow kind of like mine. That's what I'm going to be buying a lot more in the future. But I just got to finish off what I have just because. So anyhow, here are these other ones that I finished. These are already clear coated. So as you see, pretty cool looking simple parts. And here's the stencil that I made for cutting. So that makes it very easy to cut out. And right now what I'm going to be doing is clear coating these right here. So I figured while I'm going to be doing that, I might as well do an in mold clear on the mold and see how that comes out. I've done one version. I've had some issues now. I don't know where the issues came from, whether it's from the layup, the resin, or the clear. So I'm going to give it another shot. But yeah, I'll just start recording as I go and kind of make a video out of it. So that's going to be the process with this one. So right now I just put one coat of wax on it just to make sure the part will release no problem. But I know with in mold clear, it does release very, very well. A lot easier than without in mold clear, put it that way. But yeah, so I'm going to wipe it down in a minute, and then once I'm out there clear coating, I'll just start recording that as well. All right, so I got this all cleared up. So that's how it's looking right now, really nice and glossy. So my personal workflow is I do one extremely light mist, then I turn the knob quarter of the way, semi mist, then another quarter of the way, almost like a wet coat, and then really wet coat. So that's just how I do it. All right, as always, I'm gonna weigh the mold without any of the fabric inside, just to have the baseline for it. So 858.3. So I'm gonna just put 858. So there we go. That is how much it is. And I could weigh the carbon, but because I do so much trimming, it's very inconsistent. So this is the easiest way for me to have an accurate idea of how much resin to mix it. So I'm going to be playing music, and YouTube's going to, of course, not allow that with the monetization stuff or whatever the hell it's called. So what I'm going to do is just kind of mute the audio track on the recording, not much to explain, and I'm just going to play random YouTube allowed music while I lay this up, but hopefully just visually the process is self-explanatory. right, so all I did for the moment is I got the vacuum set up and going. Nothing's under pressure yet. So what I want to do is, and this has been, again, working for me in my workflows. I don't know how important it is, but I like to shape the bag. So I'm just gonna start letting it suck itself out. So I leave a little bit of an overhang on those elements. And now what I really want to do is manually tuck it into these important areas. So there we go. That. Want a little bit less tension there, so just throwing a little bit more material. All right, I'm gonna fully open it and just kind of examine it. That's why I'm letting pressure in and out, so I could really see how well it's conforming around all the corners and crevices. Again, just my own personal workflow that's been working for me. So now, time to figure out if we have a leak or not. All right, so I am using US Composites, just their thin epoxy resin, slow hardness, so that way I'm in no rush with degassing and infusing. It's a 2-to-1 mix. When I calculated the weight of the mold with the fiber, it is 30 grams roughly, give or take. So it's because it's 2-to-1, I'm gonna aim for 60 grams of resin total. Well, resin and hardener. So 40 grams resin, 10 or 20 grams hardener. So, because again, it's a 2-to-1. All right, now time to degas. So, close that off. Close that off. Alrighty. This slow cure resin also degasses very nicely. Alright, test this. Holding pressure very nicely. Awesome. And there we go. So I'm just gonna let this degas. Same process as always. Wait for the bubbles to stop coming out, and then I'll start recording once I'm about to start infusing. Now the rest of this is just gonna naturally go through the mold. All right. So as you can see, now all the bubbles are up front, and now I am just going to gently let it ease in. All right. And I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. I don't want it too fast. And that is very uncomfortable to control. So I'm gonna actually close this off. And now I could reposition this one a little bit. There we go. This is gonna allow me to be able to throttle it a lot better. All right. Open that one up all the way again. And now, just gently control this one. And there we go, and even that's a little too quick to my liking. Especially at slow cure, I got nothing but time. And if you're using infusion resin, I bet you don't even need to do, I bet you even do fast, but since this is not infusion resin, it's a little thicker, it doesn't flow as easy. And again, my process is anywhere like all the crevices are, I don't add flow mesh. That way I could just let the bag and peel ply be as tight as possible to eliminate any risk of bridging. So that's why I'm using slow cure, so that way it can just slowly go through it. Now, I've done it just fine yesterday and the day before with the other parts with the medium cure. It makes it in time, but it gets close. Like it almost starts to harden. So this way I don't have to risk that. And this is why I also allow this little bit right here, so that way it kind of like starts spreading the resin across the whole shape. Even though this is all useless, this is just the divider, but it helps start spread the resin down the middle. So there we go. I'll just pause it now and start recording once it's pretty much done. Alright, well, we are almost done. As you can see, it made its way to the top of really the critical areas, and once I turn the heater on, it's gonna really just distribute even more. So I have still a little bit left in here. I'm gonna clamp it off, clean it up, and let it bake away. So tomorrow I will demold this, and I'm very curious to see how the results will be, because yeah, so second attempt with this part with in mold clear, and this time I laid down the clear way thicker than the first time. So I hope it works in terms of me not having to waste time clear coating again, but with my luck that's not gonna happen, but we'll see. Gotta try these in, trial and error type of deal. So yeah, we'll record the last bit tomorrow morning. All right, we have the next day. This thing is all done. I'm just gonna remove some of these things from the oven, and it is ready to demold. Remove the bag and pop this into the freezer. Even though with me doing in mold clear, it actually should pop out no problem, because the clear coat works like a release agent of its own. But again, I just don't care. Less risk this way. As always, just pop this in the freezer, and in like 15 minutes, it should be literally out of the mold. So there we go. I'll come back soon. All right, let's see how quickly this pops out. I could already see it hovering outside the mold. So let's see, there we go. As you can see, these things just release. And here's the part. So first impressions, it looks good. So not seeing any, well, no, not seeing any surface flaws that I could spot, at least not right now. So yeah, wonderful. And so the real task now is I'm gonna sand it and see if I could just polish it, because if this molded and cleared method worked, this should be a done part. And as I mentioned, my little cut templates, they just pop right in. I draw the shape and I trim it. So there we go. Moment of truth will be shortly. See how this looks once it's wet sanded and polished, because game plan is to not have to clear coat these parts. But that's it. I really won't record anymore, because that's the whole process from start to finish on these. Alright, I figured I'd make a little conclusion video on what I just went through. So this is the molded clear one, and overall it's good. It looks nice. The gloss is pretty decent. And I did not have to clear coat it again, which is nice. The only problem is when, and this is probably operator error of course, but when trimming, in some areas like the clear coat kind of frayed or lifted a little bit, if you will. So And then the other thing is, I don't know how thick the clear coat is in the mold. So this one right here is another one that I clear coated during the process of the in mold clear stage. So I like, personally, on my own workflow, I like doing this a lot more. It's infusing as you would normally, and then clear coating the parts after, because that way I have a lot more control over the density of the clear coat, and also I could trim it without any consequences and round the edges off. And then after rounding the edges off, I apply a clear coat. It kind of gives a nice, better bevel. So that's the conclusion that I've come to based on my personal experience. Obviously, people do in-mold clear and do wonderful work, so it's operator error at the end of the day, but it's just based on my workflow and what works best for me.